All right, Wendell and Yank back here with you with some more first round draft analysis and general talk.
Yes, indeed.
Just just passing the time on this this cold and snowy February 2045 season. I'll tell you what, since the nuclear winter we had a few years ago, this snowy weather has gotten, it kind of gets us down. I mean, you think we're in for the ice ball Earth scenario, Yankee, or you think there's some ray of sunshine in our future?
Well, I'm an optimistic guy, so hopefully it'll get back to normal.
Nice. Cool. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about putting a dome around Moscow Stadium because, when you play a game and it's like minus 20 degrees in September, that's kind of rough. So
yeah,
kind of rough on a pitcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, in Istanbul we have got the Bosphorus and the Straits, so we get a lot of it's a lot warmer around here, which is good.
That's good. You get the warmth off the ocean,
the Black Sea, the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool, man.
Not a better place in the world to play baseball.
I know that. Man. I've been there. Yeah. So at 112, we got we're looking at a string of starting pitchers here. At 112, the Gauchos took this pick from the Pirates. How did they get this pick from the Pirates?
It must have been a long time ago because I can't really find it. I can look in the finalized trades thread real quick and see if I can see a post from Osick. But
while you're looking for that, this is Wolfman. He was Mr. Sergeant Wolfman. Mm-hmm. He has a history.
Yes, he does.
Was drafted as the 1-9 pick last year by Amsterdam, and Amsterdam could not sign him, and that really had me going, how in the world? Because this year he's asking for slot, and that'd be hard to imagine that if he was asking slot last year, how in the world could Amsterdam not have afforded a 1-9 pick in slot?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what he was asking for last year, but
well, he had fantastic high school numbers last year. My word, a 0.45 ER. That's so. I can't even see that with a microscope. A 0.64 WHIP.
Yeah.
15.9 K per nine and 1.2 walks per nine. That's like a 14-to-1 K to BB rate. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This guy. So his college numbers, however, have come back down to earth just a tiny bit.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that in high school he actually threw 7 games in relief, which, I think that's the big concern with him. His stats look great. There's a lot of blue and green on here, which is really good. You like to see that.
Yep.
But is he a starter? Is he a reliever?
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of players like this where it's 2 amazing pitches and then 20-20, third pitch, 20-25 third pitch, or the stamina is really low. And in this case, it's both. Stamina 40, 25 changeup as a third pitch.
Yeah.
So, he's got great intangibles. Slot guy, out of college, still pitching pretty well. He did throw.
Fantastic.
He did throw 2 games in relief again. It's not a bad pick. I think Osick kind of knew the risks as well. So, like I said, every time you see a lot of blue and a lot of green, it's not really a bad pick. 66% ground ball rating, which is insane,
Indeed.
with that sinker. But it just, even as a reliever, I think he'd be really good. Then it's just a question of, is 112, early enough to pick a reliever?
Right.
Which, who knows? But I don't know. I think he would work out. It's not a bad pick by any means.
Right. Well, speaking of is 112 an early pick for a reliever, look at the 113 pick. Ray Chapman. So, oh, mate, I'm looking at the wrong guy. I'm thinking of John Chapman.
Yeah, well, I think that was a little bit later.
That was his bro.
Yeah. I actually have the trade that Gugsta and Gugsta and Leach did. So this was part of the deal to move Farron. Gugsta got the 113 and Farron, who, let me see what Farron's been up to. I know he's been in the league forever, pretty much. He's somewhere on Key West. Maybe maybe in their DFA. Hold on. All right, Farron. So Farron used to be really good. He's 29 now. He's making $5 million a year, signed through 2046. I think he had maybe some bad injuries because he's fragile at this point. Let me see. Yeah, he tore his labrum in 2043. Had a couple of minor injuries. But I mean, 2040 with Helsingborg through 2042 or 2043, it's 157 OPS plus, 140, 144, 141, or not 141, but 107. So he was a really, really good hitter 2 years ago. This past year, let me see, I think it was free agency. Oh, no, okay. He was traded. Wait a second. Was it free agency? Yeah, he was traded to Helsingborg for 2.5 and something else that I can't see on the game. And he was less than spectacular. He had 55 games, 201 PAs, and he hit 40 OPS plus with negative 1.5 WAR.
Ouch.
Not really good fielding at all. So, as far as I'm concerned, this was a salary dump.
So this was
Leach.
what sent this pick to Key West?
Right.
The 113 pick? Okay.
Yeah, it was 13 in Farron, and then Gugsta sent to Leach Jae Hong,
Oh, yeah.
who is, let's see if it's on Leach's. Yes.
Oh, was that this trade? That was this trade?
Yeah. I don't know if you talked about it already, but
Okay.
no,
I didn't. But
okay.
I was in some talks with Gugsta about Hong.
Okay.
I just at the end of the day, he was kind of expensive for me.
Yeah. So Hong for the past, let's see, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, 6 years has hit 143, like 120 or above OPS plus. Lately his defense has fallen off a little bit, it looks like, because his WAR has dropped. But other than that, I mean, he's still a very good left fielder, switch hitter. Only making 8.5, so not really that bad.
Right.
Pretty good acquisition for Leach as it stands. And then he also got on Goose's post it says B Coates, but I think it's Mark Coates.
Yeah.
Who last year had a 1.4 WAR with 94 OPS plus, and he was originally on Dublin for like 7 years, kind of as a backup role, I think, and he finally started consistently with Gugsta last year, and I mean did pretty well. 94 OPS plus is not bad. He's got 70 catcher rating, so
yeah, a 317 on base percentage.
Right. So Leach got those two guys, and he also got a second round pick next year.
Okay.
So that's not bad. And now the actual guy that Gugsta picked was Ray Chapman. Okay. And let's see if I can find him in the pool.
Yeah, I'm looking at him. He's a 55, 60, 65 kind of a pitcher. Good movement, and his movement's already coming in. He's got a fantastic knuckle curve that's 50 out of 70 already.
Yeah, and that's actually a really interesting pitch that we don't see nearly enough of, in my opinion. So, I mean, his college stats, kind of a little funky. Low BABIP and only 96 ERA plus. 4.31 ERA. Home runs per 9 was a little high, as well as walks per 9. But, I mean, his potential is pretty good. He's already 21. So, I mean, it's a wash. The only thing is that it's not really surprising for Gugsta to trade away those two guys. They're both, over 30, and it's a good salary dump for him.
Right.
So, and I mean, you got a guy that could go either way as a pitching prospect. He is a lefty, which, like I said, he's probably the second best lefty in the pool, maybe third best, which is good.
Nice. Okay.
So, I mean, that's not a bad trade, and obviously with what Gooks is trying to do, I think it falls exactly in line with that.
Nice. So we're starting to paint a picture here of Key West strategy sort of creating a new nucleus of a team around some first round draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, the only question I have is why give up a second to Leach when your team's not going to be good, next year? Because I think that'd be next year's draft.
Right.
That is a little bit questionable,
okay.
And I think maybe not worth the 113. But I mean, who knows? At the same time, I've traded a bunch of. I don't think I have any seconds for the next couple of years, anyways. So
yeah,
it's not really a huge deal. It's a little bit questionable, but at the same time, it's Guksta, so he'll find 4 or 5 second round picks if he really wants them.
Absolutely.
Next year.
Yeah, he can go nuts on them second rounders.
Yeah.
So now we come up to the Soul Train and
Soul Glow.
Of the Soul Glow with Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. So right fielder. Let's see. I gotta find him in game. Ray Lewis. So 18 years old, coming out of high school. 169 OPS plus. So he's got like okay contact, pretty good power, both gap and home run, and pretty good avoid Ks. So more of a masher. His OBP will probably kind of like hover around, like it'll hover closer to his average, whereas his slugging will probably be in the mid 400s range. I mean, it is what it is. He's got very high work ethic, which is really good. High leader ability, which is really good. Very high loyalty, not bad in case he does pan out. And then so he is a lefty, which is good. His defense is my only kind of question. I think it's pretty risky. Like, I don't know if this guy is even going to be a decent corner outfielder because it's 50-50, 45. And usually if you have one really good stat, you can get away with it. I mean, he's a 30-40 and at the spots right now, he could probably hit 50, 55. Like, the two first basemen that Real and I picked have better outfield ratings than this guy.
Right.
And they're listed as first baseman.
Right.
So that might tell you, what this guy's future position is. I mean,
yeah, he doesn't. His running speed of 45.
And that's not really going to save him either.
Not. So, are you saying you don't like this pick?
I mean, again, it kind of depends what his farm system is like. If he needed, I mean, the power is definitely undeniable,
right.
And if he actually does hit that ceiling, which his intangibles are good enough to do so. He could do just fine at DH. And I mean, especially, Soul has the best player in the league in Noda. So you can sacrifice a bad DH hitting wise because your shortstop's providing,
Soul probably has the best center fielder in the league too.
Who's he have right now? I know I traded him Salazar. I don't know if he still has him. He's got Mejia or well, he's got Mejia right now. I don't know if that's his. I mean, Salazar is still really good. He still will be for a handful of years. I mean, I think he's actually got the ideal power at weird positions lineup. Right. So I mean, ultimately, I don't think it's a bad pick. If the power pans out, you'll find a place.
Right.
Even if you can't teach this guy how to use a glove, you'll find a place for him.
Right.
So not a bad pick.
Now we come up to the 999th Key West pick of the first round.
Yeah.
This was the pick that he picked up from me.
Okay.
Catcher Bill Aguilar.
All right. Do you remember what the rest of the deal, or was it like?
I have no earthly idea, man.
Okay,
I
actually,
think this might have been the pick that brought the Leo Munoz to me.
Well, I have here on the finalized trades thread that did you trade a pick to Mike because he traded the 115 to Key West?
Might have been the one for Bing Liu. That's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I guess that trade Mike traded to Guksta, and so Guksta traded 3 second-round picks, the 33, 36, and 42 of this draft for the 115. So nice. I never like trading away a first-round pick, even if it's 10 second-rounders, because the talent drop-off, especially in the draft this deep, is pretty noticeable. So, I mean, as that stands, I don't know what Mike's going to pick. I don't think we're even there yet because, Cookie Monster, whatever, but
Well,
I mean, we'll see what Mike gets with those slots.
Mike's had a good first round here.
Mike has had a good first round, so it's not the biggest loss.
Right.
So as for the actual player, Bill Aguilar, let me pull him up.
See if I can find him. There he is. OSA rates him as a 1.5 star, a straight average contact, gap power, home run.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a guy with a poor eye, but a heck of an arm, a cannon of an arm.
Yeah, he's a very, very good defensive catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't hit bad in college either, which is a good sign.
Right.
Unfortunately, I mean, we've seen guys. It's hard to determine what exactly is the ideal OPS plus right now in college.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll just kind of see that over time.
Right.
But I mean, his OPS plus is not that bad compared to other guys we've been seeing with better hitting stats. So.
Well, you got to worry though. I mean, his eye projected to be a maximum of 35. His OBP is not going to be much more than his batting average. So he's going to live and die by his batting average here.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely think so.
At the worst, he can be your backup defensive late innings catcher, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, especially a catcher that valuable. I mean, I've picked up guys. What I always do is pick up guys. I'll go in, find minor league free agents with 70+ rating in catching, and just stockpile them in my system, both for helping my prospects pitch,
right,
and just to have a guy. I think my backup catcher. Well, not right now. I was gonna have my backup catcher be like a high defensive guy like that. I ended up getting someone from Las Vegas, but. Yeah, I mean, I think a guy like this is pretty valuable in general.
Yeah,
and the good news is very high intelligence, very high work ethic. Obviously, I can't stress it enough. When those two things are blue, this guy can end up being a really good hitter, and then you have one of the most valuable players in the league.
There you go.
So
absolutely.
I don't think it's a bad pick from Guksta. I think you don't necessarily build a team around him because you might end up finding someone better at catcher in future drafts or whatever, but it's definitely a pretty valuable guy to have in your system.
Cool.
At worst, you're having him catch with Ray Chapman and the other guys you picked up.
Right.
Ray Chapman and Stephen Adams are going to be thrown to him.
That's
and
right.
this guy can increase their ERAs, which is going to increase their potential.
Cool.
So, not a bad pick.
Let's see if we can get through the first round in this segment,
right.
Which is going to mean we're going to need to scoot through these next guys in about 2 minutes each.
All right. Well,
it's going to be probably hard on the next guy, which is
because I cannot say I cannot stop liking this pick. I think he's probably. I was desperately considering him at number 8. It was between him and Brett Johnson, and it could end up backfiring on me. So I think everyone dropped the ball on this one. So let's look at him. He's 18 years old, high work ethic, low intelligence, but again, not really a big deal. But I mean, you look at this guy's potential: 60 stuff, 60 movement, 70 control, which is insane. 4 pitches, 3 of them really good, 45 splitter, but that's not a big deal. Stamina is good, velocity's a little bit lower, but with the pitches he throws, it's not a huge deal because you can get away with throwing 91 with the cutter. 384 ERA, 152 ERA plus, really good K per 9, 9.7, with a really low walks per 9. And I mean, that tells me, if your control's 35 and you have a 1.8 walks per 9, that's a really good sign because that means you're only going to get better,
It's true, very true.
So, I mean...
Still, he's a high school player. So there's some inherent risk with a high school player.
I mean, he is durable, so that... I mean, I don't even pick fragile pitching prospects,
Really? Interesting.
I've passed on... I think I've passed on a couple in past leagues because if they're starting out, the way that the injury system works in OTP is it's like it's 0 through 200 in like arm, back, leg, and torso or something like that. And you start out with, if someone's already fragile, they already have like 90, 70, 80, whatever. They're already past that threshold, so every injury is going to increase that. So, they're going to be wrecked by age 28 or whatever if you're not careful.
Right. Just a few injuries in the farm could wash
and he's
yeah.
done. I mean, unless you're a team like Madison or Helsingborg or whatever, where you just have a constant conveyor belt of good pitchers or whatever. So I mean,
so you like this pick?
Yeah, I think he's one of the better picks. Like, he wasn't top like 8 by any means. Well, he wasn't like that good, but I think like 4 or 5 picks he should have been picked earlier, especially because there was 3 starting pitchers. I think he's better than Conley, Sargent, and Chapman.
Wow, very nice. Okay, but not as good as Hinchcliffe.
It could go either way. I think Hinchcliffe and Adams and Wilson are a lot safer because they're older.
Right.
Obviously, if Fernandez could very well bust. You know.
Yeah.
His intangibles aren't that great, but
okay. Good. So the 117 pick was the Helsingborg, and they picked up third base Craig Decker.
Orlando. So I don't know what the trade was. It's probably too far back, but
let's skip the trades and we'll just go straight to the pick here.
Let me see. I'll try and find him quick. Craig Decker. So again, really good intangibles. Obviously very high. That's good. 21 years old. Pretty average bat, but he's great defensively at third. And I mean, I think he could also be taught to fill in at second, and obviously he'd be like an 80 at first. I don't know his outfield. His outfield stats are actually interesting. He has a 35 range, but 70 errors and 70 arm. So I don't really know what kind of outfield play that would look like in real life. But I guess he just kind of sticks to one zone and really dominates that zone of the outfield. I mean, he's pretty fast, so you know, I've never really seen like defensive stats improve. But if they did, this guy would definitely be a candidate for like improved range. Well, I think, you know.
But his infield range is he's got pretty much classic third base arm.
Oh yeah, I think he's a classic defensive third baseman. Like really solid pick as far as that goes. So I mean, I think this pick works for Orlando. I don't know what his third base situation is, but it sounds pretty good to me.
Well, there's I think Osick was talking about this. Third base is kind of a tough in our league. It's there's a scarcity, a paucity of mashing third baseman.
I mean, even my third baseman is a converted outfielder. So
right, okay. Well, I mean, it makes me value my guy Hugo Yazicki all the more because he's a good match. His contact has been not so great lately, but
I mean, look at that defense and
man. Absolutely.
Great hit, great bat at the position too. So
okay, and with the 118 pick, old Baton Rouge finally bit. They picked up closer John Chapman.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to see because there's always one or two guys in every pool where they're a great closer or a great middle reliever, and just always interesting to see how far they fall.
I got to confess, I would have taken this guy very high, very, very high. If I'd had a pick around the 1.4, 1.5, I probably would have taken this guy.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know what it is about these guys, but it looks like he is so close to being there, you know, and being WB already. And I don't know. This guy looks like he's going to be a flamethrower.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think, I mean, he will close in, you know, Baton Rouge's bullpen for 10, 12 years.
He's pretty much a no-risk kind of a guy.
Yeah, I think he's very, very low risk. I mean, bad intangible, but he's already so developed that it's not a huge deal. Right. He throws 99, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at his BABIP, it's 375, which is actually insanely high.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, imagine if he actually has good defense or good luck behind him. You know, the guy's going to throw a 0.4 ERA in college, whatever. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he is one of the better relievers for multiple years.
Right.
I mean, the only thing is relievers are so hit or miss. You could have a guy with these numbers end up having a bad year, you know.
True.
I mean, granted, you know, my bullpens are always bad, so I'm not the best on that subject.
Well, his control is probably his risk point. And the risk may be just how long it takes him to work into that control. But even if he just splits the difference and ends up with like a 50-55 control, that flame-throwing stuff is going to keep him in the bigs for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid pick for real. And I mean, he has another pick at 24 anyways. So if it doesn't work out, he still has a pretty solid, first round talent guy anyways.
All right.
So
then we come up on the 119 pick, the Mules.
All Madison. So that's your pick. I don't know. What do you want to say about the guy?
Well, I liked him because he was on my board because he was a lefty. I had him and Jim Machado back to back.
Yeah.
And I like Machado better, but I just didn't have it was a kind of a slip by me. I didn't have the foresight to swap them.
Yeah.
And the big goof for me was that Machado's got the higher rated movement. Now Machado is a definite reliever. He's only got 2 pitches.
Yeah.
Madison's got that third rink-a-dink pitch and stamina for days and great ability to hold runners, and he's got a ground ball tendency and whatnot. I just don't know if he's got the stuff, if he's ever going to grow into the stuff to make it in the bigs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is that the stamina is really good because, like, again, whenever you have this, like, 3-pitch guy and the third pitch is so bad, it's like, that stamina is going to at least keep him as an innings eater at, worst case scenario. And I mean, he's got great ground ball. He's a lefty again. We stressed that before. So I don't know. I think he could fit as a number 3, number 4, number 5 guy if he had some potential. And his intangibles are a lot better than Machado. Machado's very low, very low. And I mean, I guess we're kind of mixing these two up in one if you want. But,
sure.
Machado, very low, very low. I mean, his 2 pitches are good, and his stamina is pretty good, so he could be like a middle reliever. But, I mean, I think it could go either way. Like, OU got a reliever, I mean, if you can compare this guy to John Chapman, it's no comparison. So Madison actually has a chance to start and be a number 4, number 5 guy, which is not bad. I mean, worst case scenario, you deal him to a team who needs him. And I don't know. I think he's slightly better than Machado. I don't think you dropped the ball on this one by any means. It just depends how they develop. If Machado ends up hitting his potential, like, no big deal, and he doesn't drop based on his ratings or his intangibles, then maybe he's better. But it's so risky to say.
It's interesting because the draft, we were talking about this on the boards today or the other day. By the way, I got to tell you guys, so my daughter's boyfriend came by for Thanksgiving, and it was good to see him. And they've actually they're living in Washington D.C. now, and but he was down, and we had a nice long visit, and we got to talking about OOTP, and so I pulled up OOTP, and then I showed him that we have an active forum site.
Yeah.
We've got this online draft site.
Right.
And we've got, I do these little webcasts, and you can just see the glow in his eyes, man. He was like,
did you tell him, did you ask him if he had 5 minutes per day?
5 minutes? You know what? I didn't ask him about the 5 minutes per day. Well, I kind of don't want him wasting. He needs to get his shit to work, man.
Yeah.
He needs to take care of my baby girl.
Yeah.
So, I'm afraid I got him addicted on the OTP crack, though, and I could just see the look in his eyes. So, yeah, but
it is crack. It is definitely crack.
It is. So, what I was going to say is the draft site shows that Madison has an 80 stamina potential, and if you go to the OSA ratings, they show a 75 potential stamina. So there's a few little differences between the draft site and
definitely.
OTP.
And I mean, I have no idea which one is right.
Either
way, you're in a good, it's such a small difference, but. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Lisbon gets another pick. This one was a trade with Buffalo. They pick up corner outfielder. Whoa, Mark Riley. My screen went blue. Mark Riley. So what's the book on Mark Riley?
Mark Riley. Let me see if I can find him.
By the way, I like Paul Madison's nickname, Ripper.
Yeah.
What a hell of a name for a pitcher.
I mean, sometimes you got to pick based off the
nickname. Sometimes nickname, it trumps everything.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about? Mark Riley.
I'm
thinking about Jack the Ripper out there on the mound, and I just totally lost my
I mean, get him a nice walk-up song. And
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right, so I can't find the trade that he originally got, but Mark Riley, he's got 50 contact, 55 power, 55 home run, 50 I, and 55 avoid Ks. His defense is decent. He's got a really good arm. The other two stats are below average, but I mean, he could fit in left or right. It'd be a little bit unoptimal, but not. You wouldn't be losing too much. So right there is not a bad pick. He's really slow, which is kind of odd. Like
that is really odd with that kind of an outfield range, a 45 outfield range, and a 30 speed, and basically a negligible stealing ability.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's gonna, I mean, he's got good gap power, but how many doubles is he really gonna hit? If he can,
how many times can he chug into second base? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a little bit questionable, but I mean, he's really no worse than the guy Soul picked up at 14. He's he's not that much worse than Jones and Wilder. I mean, a little bit worse, but so I mean, I think there's pretty good value here for Sean.
Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to
Lance Steele.
Lance Steele, the Riff Raff's final pick in the first round.
Sounds like a name made for
Lance Steele.
Yeah.
U.S. Marine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually like this pick.
Well, you like him because of his intangibles, I bet.
But besides that, he's actually got really good defense, which, I mean, he's a center fielder, so no surprise. But he's got a good defense relative to his bat. Like, I think the past two corner outfielders that have been picked, it's like, well, their bat's okay and their defense is okay. This guy has good defense and a good bat. Maybe he's not a center fielder. I actually don't think he is. I mean, he can maybe get to 50, 55. But I think either corner spot, he would be 65, 70, which is really good. I mean, you can play him in center field too, So that gives you some options. His high school stats were bad. That's the only thing. It's kind of, I mean, his current ratings kind of reflect that, so it's not a huge surprise.
Right.
But he just has to hit. He has to hit his potential, and if he does, he's above average contact guy, above average home run power guy, and really good at avoiding strikeouts. So I mean, like this year, he had 19 strikeouts, 12 walks, whereas he has to be able to hit that 65 and avoid Ks. But if he does, you got a really good defensive guy, a fast guy who's not going to strike out, and at least not
going to be a liability at the plate.
Yeah, at least hit the ball and sack fly if needed or something like that.
Very interesting infield ratings. He's got 60 infield range, but everything else, infield error is 40, infield arm and turn double player 45. So can't really see him playing anything on the left side of the infield.
Yeah, I mean, maybe sick him, maybe train him at first as a stopgap.
Sure, fine.
I mean, I think because B-Dub picked Moon earlier, so I mean, I think between Moon and Steele, throw one of them at center field, throw another in corner outfield spot, and I mean, there's two of your outfielders right there for the long term. So I mean, it's not a bad pick.
Good pick. Good deal.
Yep.
Okay, and we're gonna wrap up the first round with Lisbon picking starting pitcher Bill Melton.
Bill Melton. All right, so this was their comp pick for being an expansion team, as was the last one. Let me see if I can find him. Bill Melton. All right, so this guy's actually interesting because he just had bone spur surgery.
Oh no!
Yeah, he had bone spur surgery December 3rd, and he's out. He's still out for 7 more weeks. So I guess he's had that injury for about 3 months. He's going to have a 3-month injury at this point.
Oh wow!
So that's actually really interesting. Okay. But I mean, he's normal injury rating, so it might not be a big deal. He's got 50 stuff, 55 movement, 65 control. Already 40 in each, which is not bad. Run-of-the-mill intangibles. He's already 22, which is a little bit risky. And he doesn't have much velocity. Okay. So, I mean, it's not a bad pick. I don't really want to look at the second round yet because that's for a later time. But, I mean, at face value, it doesn't seem bad. It's just that surgery might who knows? You know, he could come back and his ratings could be 50 and everything, especially with bone spur elbow surgery. So yeah, I mean, because he already had a ratings change. I don't know if it was positive or negative because I don't know what his original. Right. He was just generated, so it could go either way. I mean, he could end up being a solid number 4, number 5 guy, which not too much to complain about as an expansion team.
Especially if his control stays up there, he could be a good innings eater.
Definitely. Or just throw him in the pen if it really doesn't work out. And I mean, those pitches will play up.
Sure. Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks, guys, for listening in. And Yankee, thank you for joining me for this draft analysis. I enjoyed this.
Not a problem. I did as well. Yep.
A lot of fun. We got to do this again, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll be back to you next time.